Well, thank you very much for not waiting. Now we would like to start JICA Clean City Initiative JCCI International Seminar 2025. This is a green seminar. I would like to function as a moderator today. My name is Ishida from Environment Management and Climate Change Group from JICA. The title of the program is Next Action Towards the Plastic Treaty. Last year, on the 25th of November till the 1st of December, in Korea, in Busan, the fifth session of Intergovernmental Negotiating Committee, the plastic pollution, the new binding international treaty, unfortunately have not been able to achieve adoption. And based upon the situation, the donor, the government, academia, university, private sector, in terms of coping and tackling with the plastic pollution, what are the specific action that needs to be taken? We'd like to share the update of the information amongst our group. This program consists of Session 1, what is donor support under the Convention of Plastics? Session 2, the front line of marine plastic pollution in Thailand, from research to social implementation. And number 3, SDGs 12, actions for measures against plastic-related sustainable consumption and production. It is comprised of these 3 sessions altogether. And after session 2, we have a short break. And afterwards, we have 8 speakers who will be coming up onto the stage today. So session 1 and session 3, after each session, we would like to offer a panel discussion and Q&A session. Those of you who have questions, please post your question in the chat box on Zoom. At the same time, if you be able to share your name and your affiliation, please. Those of you in the venue, please kindly raise your hand, and the secretariat staff will be providing you with a paper for you to write down the question. So now we'd like to go into what's the donor support under the Convention of Plastics, session number 1. At this session, we'd like to invite from JICA, Environmental Management and Climate Change Group, Global Environment Department Deputy Director, Mr. Koji Maeshima. And then we'd like to invite United Nations Environment Program Officer, Plastic Waste, Mr. Felipe Dao, and also from Asian Development Bank, Director of Environment, Ms. Yoko Watanabe will present the session. So Ms. Watanabe will be participating through online. So without further ado, I would like to pass over to Mr. Maeshima.
Thank you. My name is Maeshima from Environmental Management and Climate Change Group at JICA, and I would like to talk about JICA's initiative to tackle plastic pollution. First, I would like to share with you some data with regard to plastic pollution. 22 million tons of plastics leak into the environment every year, out of which approximately 50% come from the ASEAN region. And 80% of total marine plastic waste come from land through rivers, which makes waste management on land extremely important. And without proper countermeasure, by 2050, weight of marine plastic waste exceeds weight of fish, which means that countermeasures need to be implemented quickly. And based on this, negotiation of plastic treaty started about 3 years ago. INC was held 5 times so far, and at the end of last year, INC 5 was held. And they were trying to agree on the treaty before the end of 24, but unfortunately, this did not take place. Marine plastic was included in the title of the treaty to begin with, but now discussion is focused on handling plastic as a whole, not just the marine plastics. And as you can see at the bottom of the slide, at INC 5, Japanese government emphasized 7 points. Number one, promotion of measures throughout the full life cycle of plastics. This is something that the Japanese government has been advocating from the beginning, which also is an important point for negotiation for this treaty. Number 4, 5, 6 listed here. For example, number 6, developing, updating, reporting, and reviewing national action plans. Depending on the status of the nation, action plan should be formulated, and reduce, reuse, recycle of waste, and the waste management should be conducted according to the situation of each country's situation. JICA has a global agenda, and today we're focusing on the Clean City Initiative. Under this initiative, waste management is important. Many countries request support for this. There's a heightened interest. Close to 50 countries are implementing waste-related projects as we speak. And this is JICA's contribution. We want to benefit 500 million citizens in 50 countries by 2030. And marine plastic is included as one of the measures or agenda items. Synergy with climate change, relationship with biodiversity are now highlighted, has been highlighted recently, and these are the important initiatives that we'll be focusing on. Next, I would like to talk about a basic approach for waste management at JICA. Depending on the level of development of each country, we divide this into 3 different stages. The first stage is improvement of public health. Basic services of waste management should be improved. And in the second stage, we try to reduce the environmental impact and prevent pollution. And in the third stage, establishment of material cycle society and with 3 R's initiatives. So this is the circular economy. Next, I would like to show you some specific examples. One typical example of stage 1, Bangladesh, Dhaka. We have been doing this project for more than 20 years with Bangladesh. The project is called the Clean Dhaka Project, and it started with a basic master plan for managing waste, and this is where JICA helped. Waste collection was dramatically improved, and also the system for final disposal was improved, and there is also citizen participation in this management system. And all of these contributed to the improvement of basic services for waste management. This is an example of second stage. In Sri Lanka, plastic management capacity strengthening project is underway. National database for plastics is being established, and also based on the information from the database, policy proposals can now be made. In Japan, we have a very accurate database which shows material flow of waste. So from the stage of consumption all the way to disposal, and we do have such database which can be leveraged in these different types of projects. On the right-hand side, you can see the example from Cambodia. Japanese companies, when they want to develop business outside of Japan, there is a scheme provided by us to support their activities. And this is the use of Japanese technology for plastic recycling system to convert waste to eco-product. This is an example of a third stage. We have a project called J-Prism for more than 20 years now in the oceanic regions. And we have introduced a system called Container Deposit Legislation, CDL for short. In small island countries, it is difficult to recycle within the boundaries of their nations. And therefore, used plastic should be collected and then exported out of the country, which is called return to the developed nations. In addition to the usual 3 Rs, we are also promoting return. And I would like to show you an example of the deposit system employed in the Marshall Islands. When the product is purchased, the consumer pays 6 cents more than the price of that actual product. But after the consumption, if you return the container to a dedicated location, you will receive 5 cents back. So this is an incentive mechanism for collection of plastics. And then the deposited containers will be accumulated at the recycle site, and the dealer will turn them into bales so that it can be returned and exported more easily. Evidence-based approach is also important. Once the plastic leaks into the ocean or is dumped in the ocean, waste should be monitored and information should be gathered, and this is something that Japan is very good at. In Thailand, we have a collaboration for study. This is a very detailed study about marine plastic pollution in the oceans. This is an example, and I know that Professor Isobe from Kyushu University will talk about this in greater detail later on. On the right-hand side, you can see use of DX technology to map the status of littering. By analyzing AI-based imaging, you can understand how the garbage is being littered. And this is, again, us providing support to disseminate Japanese technology outside of Japan. And this is the last slide. This is a basic approach by JICA to tackle plastic pollution. We want to see improvement of waste management services, the basic services, and then plastic recycling, database waste extraction. We need to basically establish this whole system. And if we don't have a strong system, land, river, sea, we see release of the plastic into the environment. Once this happens, we need to provide tight monitoring over this. And then plastic should be recycled, which requires technology. We need to build a database for plastic so that we can come up with better countermeasures and also reduce plastic use. How to minimize the plastic use is another important perspective. And in the third stage, we have to build an overall mechanism, including the introduction of EPR and also environment that will promote further initiatives. In other words, we need to promote approach that will encompass the whole life cycle, especially initiatives in the manufacturing and the use of plastic is something of importance as we move forward. Recycled materials can be used to manufacture new plastic products, or design can be more accommodative to recycling. These are some of the new perspectives that need to be brought into this overall scheme. That's all from me. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Mr. Maeshima, thank you very much. Following me, I would like to invite Mr. Felipe Dahl, please.
Minasama, ohayou gozaimashita.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. JICA colleagues, thank you so much for the invitation and congratulations for this activity. I am Felipe Dahl. I am Program Officer at UNEP, International Environmental Technology Center. We are based here close to Tokyo in Osaka, and we are the central agency of UNEP handling waste management issues. So we coordinate all waste-related projects and activities within UNEP. So I am here to present to you today a snapshot of plastic pollution, some issues, and what UNEP is been doing. To be very quickly, because there is much to talk and I have only 10 minutes. So my colleague that preceded me, he presented some good facts and figures on plastic pollution, so I don't have to repeat. Everyone here knows that plastic is great, but the convenience of the plastics is what has turned the plastic user in a big issue or in a plastic crisis. And this is why we and our countries, we need to act, because the plastic generation, plastic production is expected to increase 3 times by 2050. And if we do nothing, everything as it is, it will increase by 3 times the amount of plastic is going into nature. And by going into nature means going into our bodies as well. I have plastics in my body. You have plastics in your body. You have plastics in your brain. I am sure that we don't want this. So let me just highlight 2 aspects of the plastic pollution crisis that we are living nowadays, which are actually some misconceptions that we have. First, we think that recycling will solve all the problems, will take care of plastic generation. This is wrong. There is no technology, there is no infrastructure able to cope with the growth in plastic production that we are seeing in the world nowadays. So plastic recycling will not be enough, even for high-income countries like Japan. Plastic recycling, plastic recovery is not enough. Second, and most important, we think that waste management will solve the plastic pollution crisis. This is wrong, ladies and gentlemen. Nowadays, 2 billion people in the world don't have waste collection. How do we think that waste management can sort out the plastic pollution if 2 billion people, 25% of the world nowadays, don't have even the waste collected in their house? I'm not mentioning about final disposal. I just saying collection. That graph, you can see that low income and medium income countries will have more costs to deal with the plastic pollution or to find solutions. So this is where high income countries, developed world, has more responsibility to support these countries, because this is something that will not be solved overnight. So we need to take actions quickly, and we need international collaboration. We need a global effort. I also want to mention some interlinked crises that come with the plastic pollution crisis. First, climate. Nowadays, plastics are responsible for 5% of global greenhouse gas emissions. If the trends continue, this amount would increase to 20%. But let's remember that we already live in a 1.5 world, and we are seeing a lot of extreme events that are happening across the world. Developed and developing economies are facing the extreme events of climate change. We don't want this to our families. Second, there is a crisis, in biodiversity crisis. So the concentration of plastics, which is plastic pollution, is increasing in the world. So in the marine environments, the large majority of species are found with plastics in their bodies. And here in the East Seas of Asia, the concentration of plastic pollution around China, such as Japan and Korea, is more than 20 times higher than the global average. And lastly, our human health and well-being. We have over 16,000 substances associated with plastics, and we don't know if these substances are toxic, but we do have a lot of evidence that the concentration of these substances in our body leads to a lot of health issues, including fertility, obesity, anxiety, and endocrine disruptions. This is proved. So where do the solutions come from? Well, this is why I said that waste management and recycling alone will not solve the plastic pollution crisis. And the studies and models had showed that the solution is upstream, where my colleague Maeshima showed that is the manufacturing sector. We need to control the production, and we need to make a wise use of plastics. So this is those three blue arrows showing that many solutions, or most of solutions and main solutions, more effective alternatives are in the reduction of plastic consumption, in the substitution, and in recycling industries as well. This is more cost effective. This is where we will achieve better results with better outcomes for our economy in the long term. So we cannot change, we cannot swap the short-term convenience of the plastics by the long-term costs of plastic pollution crisis that is affecting our societies. There are a lot of studies that show that this market change, this system change, can generate net jobs. So we are not talking about losing jobs. Of course, there will be sectors that will be more affected, less affected. Our intervention has losers and winners, but society as a whole, all the countries in the world, will have a net generation of jobs if we do these changes that the models and the UNEP is advocating for. Then what UNEP is doing? Well, we have an initiative in-house called UNEP Plastics Initiative. That is where we try to concentrate all the activities and projects related to plastics within the same coordination mechanism. This plastic initiative has 6 intervention areas where we try to focus first. The focus is to reduce the problem, as I told to you. Second is to promote solutions through innovative sectors that are underpinned by the circular economy, which is reuse system, extend producer responsibility, recycling, refurbish, and also to find the best alternatives for the plastics. Or in many cases, of course, the plastic is the best alternative, but we need to have studies underpinning these solutions. And this is what we try to do to leverage with the UNEP Plastics Initiative. Our target is to work with over 45 countries in the world. And as of now, we have 14 different kinds of projects, and we are working in over 60 countries in the world. We are also talking with more of 500 private companies and over 50 financial institutions. We are also working with other international development organizations and international cooperation organizations, such as OECD. We are working with Ellen MacArthur Foundation. We are supporting the Global Partnership for Plastic Action of World Economic Forum. We are also supporting the negotiations and the discussions of G20. Last year, we provide support to Brazil's presidency, that one of the pillars of Brazil's presidency was the circular economy, where we provide a lot of technical materials and reports showing the solutions and some recommendations also for financing the transition for a circular economy. And we are partnered also with the Global Environmental Fund that has a new global project in over in 15 countries in the world with over 100 million in investments, and UNEP is the implementation part in a lot of these countries. So colleagues, just to finalize, I have just 1 minute. I wanted to show a video to you, and just to let everyone remind if the convenience of the plastics is worth of the plastic pollution crisis that we are generating. Arigatou gozaimashita. And please, if you can put the video on.
It's a very large area. No obvious clues so far. No signs of a struggle. Like previously, there are no witnesses. It's so similar to the last case. It's uncanny. here like this. Not one lead yet. Not one witness. Just victims. Just feels like everybody is keeping quiet. I don't know, something about this case just feels off. Make any sense. I mean, can't they see what it's doing? Can't be. Is all this just because it was convenient? Humanity produces over 400 million tons of plastic a year. And without urgent action, this is expected to triple by 2060. Life cycle approach and upstream solutions are key to solving this puzzle, focusing not only on how we use plastic, but also on how products are designed, produced, and distributed. The world is waking up to the problem, and governments, industry, and other stakeholders are starting to act. Together, we can beat plastic pollution.
Thank you very much.
フェリペダール様、ありがとうございました。
Thank you very much, Mr. Felipe Dao.
様、ご準備よろしいでしょうか。
Next, we would like to see if Ms. Watanabe is ready.
Great, thank you.
If you're
very
ready,
much.
please start.
Can you hear me well? Hope you're hearing.
Yes, I can
Okay,
hear you.
great. Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone, and warm welcome and warm greetings from Manila, where the Asian Development Bank's headquarters is. It's quite hard to follow Felipe's video. I mean, it's quite amazing, that video by UNEP, and congrats for such an amazing sort of touching video. So, but I hope we bring in some additional sort of contribution from the Asian development side. So my name is Yoko Watanabe. I'm the Director of Environment here at Asian Development Bank. I will be talking about ADB's current technical assistance, public and private sector loans, and also grants, key opportunities for national and regional initiatives, including policy and capacity development in relation to plastic management and also circular economy. Next slide, please. So, well, we already heard that with over half of the plastic pollution is originated from Asia and Pacific, and we really need to take urgent action. And some recent studies show that there is up to 2.5 trillion loss of economic sort of gain globally due to marine plastic pollution. And of course, all the speakers before me spoke, it's not only marine plastic, and we're also talking about source to sea on the terrestrial areas and other impact to society as well as ecosystem. Plastic pollution is really a huge economic and environment and social issues, and the international community, of course, through the ongoing discussion on the global plastic treaty, really need to take urgent action. And this is sort of one of the three pillars that we recognize: the triple planetary crisis, the climate change, the biodiversity loss, and pollution. And under the pollution pillar, the plastic is a key element that we really need to tackle urgently. So since 2019, the Asian Development Bank, in short ADB, has supported integrated solutions to address marine plastic pollution under our Healthy Ocean program, which is aiming to invest up to $5 billion and plastic management and circular economy is a key part of this program. And we're actually expanding beyond ocean again. As Asia and Pacific's Climate Bank, Asian Development Bank is ready to strengthen its cooperation with the developing countries in the region and support their transition to a circular economy. And last year, actually, we have launched our new Environment Action Plan, starting from 2024 to 2030, that contributes, of course, to the Sustainable Development Goals and also to Paris Agreement, Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework. And this one actually brings circular economy as one of the key 3 pillars of our investment and our support in the region. And we really see an integrated approach that can be taken, considering that the plastic issue is very much linked to climate change, as well as towards biodiversity loss with the impact to ecosystem in the ocean, as well as to our river and other key areas on the global sensitive and threatened ecosystem. And we really need to work on it in a more integrated and coherent manner. So what we are trying to do is to really scale up our investment. We have started since 2019, but there is ample opportunities to support and mainstream circular economy approaches in the developing countries that we work with, and also improve resource use efficiency across the production sectors, like including agriculture, urban and water sectors, and many other sectors that we work with. So as many of the earlier speakers also mentioned, our investment will go beyond solid waste management and recycling that we have been typically doing in the past years. And we'll be also promoting public and private partnership and investment moving forward. And we understand that the ongoing negotiation and expected upcoming sort of ratification and upturn of the Global Plastic Treaty will really accelerate and be able to scale up these initiatives that is needed urgently. Next slide, please. So our initial support towards plastic and circular economy have started with a technical assistance program called the Promoting Action on Plastic Pollution from Source to Sea. And our work is pioneered through this program to support in Indonesia and the Philippines, Sri Lanka, Thailand, and Vietnam. And what we have done in these countries are starting with developing a national or a city level action plan so that we have a policy in place, and then prepare and get ready for investment projects and financial support to scale these initiatives. And one of the key elements of our support is using digital technologies, and I will be talking about that a bit more later in the slides. And we also consider that knowledge sharing and best practices sharing, capacity building activities is really key, as the capacity and knowledge and the impact of plastic is still to be fully understood by our partners and stakeholders in the region. So next slide, please. So we, like others, the holistic approach for circular economy is really the key for really managing the current plastic crisis. And we consider that a system-wide approach, meaning that working from enabling activities such as policy development and capacity building, then towards the life cycle of productions and materials, is really an important sort of circular sort of economy, of course, to really tackle this issue. And we feel that our work with Indonesia, Philippines, and Vietnam on working on a city-level action plan has been very, very helpful. And that's why the city focus is, I think, increasingly important. Of course, the national or federal level support and leadership is important, but many actions are now starting to happen at the city level with mayors, and we see a dynamic shift that is happening at the local level. And we have also been actively promoting digital use, as I mentioned, and doing a digital twinning and using those mechanisms to see the whole plastic value chain so that we can make a sort of concerted and informed decision on what needs to be done at the sort of economic level and the society, and make the policymaker make a right decision based on data, based on information. We also continue to invest in infrastructure and plastics. And also we are sort of innovating on different financing mechanism like blue and green loans. These are also applied to both public and private sectors. And there is a ample opportunity to grow. And for example, with the private sector, we have provided grants to Almer in Indonesia, social venture, to pilot its reusable packaging and refilling station for consumer goods through our tech sort of enabled deposit return system, like the one that JICA mentioned earlier. Next slide, please. So under the global plastic treaty, we really anticipate that we can really strengthen our support and the countries to comply with the regulations and commitments, and be able to further work on the policy and investment, both from public and private sectors. And these are sort of areas of work that we will be able to support, and I'll be talking more about it in the next slide. The next slide, please. So our Asian Development Bank support has been sort of centered around key sort of areas. One, first, the bread and butter of our sort of ADB is providing the needed loans, and also concessional finance that will fulfill countries' obligations such as waste management infrastructure and other initiatives that is required. This will include not only on the downstream, but we also are increasing working on the upstream manufacturing and alternatives and other initiatives. The second point is support development of policy and regulatory framework, because in order for particularly private sector to invest on plastic management, it requires some certainty and commitment from the national and local level. The third point is innovation. I think this areas of plastic management really is one of the key areas that are using innovation and high-level technology like AI technologies and IoT. And I think we can really use these in the maximum to work on both reuse, recycling, and also coming up with alternatives. And the fourth point, in terms of technical assistance, we have been working with regional countries on capacity development, sharing best tools and approaches, and capacity building also at the private sector level, because I think, further understanding and lesson sharing among private sector is also important to increase the needed investment and capital flow. Finally, I really want to also emphasize the need for regional collaboration and cooperation. Many countries are facing similar problems, and of course, the solutions need to be adopted, but there is much we can do at the regional level, and we have been promoting regional training workshops as well as capacity building initiatives, including visiting some of the waste management sites or the innovative technologies for alternatives and so on. So maybe one of the key initiatives that I can emphasize as an example is we have been working on innovative financing mechanisms for including plastic credits, and also facilitate standardized tracking and accreditation of plastic collection and recycling efforts. And this can be scaled up with EPR and other schemes as well. Next slide, please. One of the key things that we are also supporting is a policy-based loan, and this is having increased sort of interest from the countries like Indonesia, Philippines, and others. And these sovereign loan plays a key role in successfully implementing the upcoming global plastic treaty and the countries to really have a large-scale sort of investment and also strengthen their policies and national plans to implement those. So for example, in Indonesia, last year, we have approved the first policy-based loan on plastic and marine debris, aiming to support government policy reform to improve plastic waste management and reduce the plastic waste to 70%, and the policymakers and all stakeholders coming together to address this issue. We are doing the same for Philippines right now to develop a similar type of program and really mainstream circular economy in the country. Maybe next slide, please. I know the time is of essence. So this is one of the final slides, and I think that ADB can play a key role and provide and contribute for future implementation of the global plastic treaty and work together with the developing countries. And again, emphasizing on the holistic and system-wide approach from the source to sea, and work on the life cycle issue and the value chain issue as we move forward on this. And also working on a comprehensive package of public and private sector investment. The ADB has a key role in operationalizing financial systems and implement the obligation, particularly the lacking of finance to manage the implementation of GBT will be a key, and we're ready to apply our lessons from our thematic loans and credits and other initiatives. Also, the technology end, I think, is again to be emphasized because we have actually applied these digital solutions to the Pasig River, which is one of the key rivers globally that is a source of 6% of the plastic waste in the sea. And this is actually next to where I'm actually sitting right now, the Pasig River. And we are working to do geospatial and other digital platform utilization to come up with a dynamic solution utilizing these technical solutions. So finally, we're really looking forward to working and scaling up the work together with partners. And thank you very much for having this opportunity to speak today. Thank you.
渡辺様、ありがとうございました。それでは、セッション1の
Thank you
パ
very
ネ
much,
ルディス
Ms.
カッション
Watanabe. We would like to move on to the panel discussion session 1.
The moderator of the panel is JICA Environment Management and Climate Change Group, Ms. Yoko Onuma. So we would like to invite the members of the panel up onto the stage, please. So Mr. Felipe Dao and also Mr. Maeshima.
Hello everyone, I'm Yoko Onuma, an advisor on waste management at the Department of Global Environment, JICA. I'd like to moderate this 15 minutes panel discussion titled Donor Dialogue. So for this session, we are pleased to welcome 3 panelists from international organizations to discuss how donors can further support plastic management in the world. So firstly, can you move on to the next slide? Yeah, firstly, let me introduce today's panelist. From your left, Mr. Felipe Dao, a program officer on plastic waste at the UNEP. Thank you, Felipe-san, for joining us today. And next is Koji Maeshima, Deputy Director, Department of Global Environment, JICA. Thank you, Maeshima-san, for joining us on behalf of us. Yeah. And then lastly, Ms. Yoko Watanabe, Director Environment from ADB. Thank you, Watanabe-san, for taking your time, despite your busy schedule, to attend this session. Yeah, and then today's topics of discussion is 3. So first question is, what are your thoughts on the progress of the plastic treaty discussions so far? So before I ask each panelist for their opinion on this question, I'd like to introduce some background of this question setting. So up to now, international plastic discussion has led by INC, have sent a big signal to the world that plastic management will be tightened worldwide very soon. But however, INC 5 in Busan last December concluded without reaching agreement on the draft articles. So that's why we all see there has been a change of the government in the United States recently. So therefore, it's still very unclear at this point on what's happening on the future plastic treaty discussion. So based on that, I'd like to ask each panelist for your opinions. Firstly, can we ask Maeshima-san to kick started?
Okay, thank you for question. The keyword is all countries and all stakeholders' participation. Through previous JICA's cooperation, we noticed the difficulty and the complexity of the plastic pollution problem. And these negotiations on the plastic treaty are taking place from the different positions, such as plastic producing countries and vulnerable countries facing the ocean, and some countries where domestic recycling is difficult. I think it is important that all countries and stakeholders participate in this discussion. We, JICA, believe that this negotiation will enable all countries to take the initiative to tackle plastic pollution seriously. Thank you.
Thank you, Maeshima-san. Next is Philippe-san.
Thank you, Onuma-san. Thank you, Maeshima-san. So 3 years ago, all countries in the world decided to tackle plastic pollution with a legally binding agreement. And it's very important to remind us all that this decision 3 years ago mentioned full life cycle of plastics, which means from production to the end of life. This is where this legally binding agreement should cover, what this agreement should cover. So UNEP was mandated to be the secretariat of these negotiations with these 5 rounds of negotiations, as my colleague Ms. Onuma told you. So far in these 2 years of negotiations, we had a very good advance. Let me share this confidence with you. We made a lot of progress because this is a very complex situation with different interests, with different local circumstances. So where we are now, we managed to agree on a draft for a final text. Still is not decided, but we have agreement on 29 out of 32 articles in this draft, which is very relevant. So we, countries of the world, we did a great job. Of course, there are some remaining topics that are the most polemic, where most different ideas remain, which is sustainable levels of plastic production, which is the design of products. It's the aspects related to human health and toxicity of plastics, and of course, solutions for the end of life disposal. So these remaining aspects is what to be decided now, but UNEP is confident that the world is waking up, is stepping up for the challenge, and we are quite aware that we need to take action now because the costs for our business and for our economies will be more expensive in the future.
Thank you, Felipe-san. Watanabe-san, may I ask your opinions?
Thank you very much for this opportunity again and be part of this panel. I really follow Felipe's optimistic and also positive sort of outlook moving forward. And I really also share that I think we have made valuable progress at Busan recently and refining ideas and identifying key issues. And still, of course, there is quite significant divides among the countries on critical matters. And particularly, I think we all kind of understand what we need to do and have a constructive discussion and policy on the downstream areas on waste management and what needs to be done. But when it comes to the upstream discussion, we still need to discuss about the measures related to production and manufacturing and supply chain. And I think those are the areas that we still continue to have negotiations. But one thing that is really clear is through the INC discussion, the public has been really more informed on the key sort of threats and crisis that we're facing today. And I think, you know, the current recent meeting also with media and others, there is a sort of a heightened sort of interest and needs to address this issue further. So at this stage, also from Asian Development Bank side, we're really preparing to support the work further for the implementation and helping governments to have informed data and information and be able to prepare for possible policy development and also further investment almost regardless of the policy. And of course, when the the treaty comes in, we will be able to scale up the work and be able to support through the policy-based loans and investment projects that we have mentioned, I have just outlined earlier. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Watanabe-san. Yeah, I didn't mention that we have already great achievements thanks to the great secretariat unit here. And then regarding this question, I'd like to additionally ask to Maeshima-san. For example, we JICA normally don't attend that kind of plastic treaty meeting from our side. But this time, last August, we attended the plastic expert meeting, which was held in Bangkok. At that time, for me personally, I felt like a little bit strange, that slightly difference from the audience face and then our counterparts face on the ground. What did you think about on this point?
Okay, yes, me and Onuma-san together and joined this negotiation at the expert meeting. And I feel that, yes, the delegation of each country strongly mentions this country's situation and this country's position. As I mentioned, from the different position, plastic producing country from the point of the plastic production country and also the vulnerable countries. From this position, they discussing. And but through our project, JICA's project, we always focus on the capacity development of each countries and how to develop the capacity to control these waste management, also the plastic pollution. And so yes, this negotiation is ongoing, but also our project is focused on the capacity is very important.
Yeah, thank you, Maeshima-san. How about Felipe-san? Do you think the same feeling of that?
The same feeling, and this is an important aspect for donors, maybe one of the main challenges, which is the lack of knowledge, the lack of information, and the lack of data when you are implementing or when you are designing your project in low and medium income countries. And why this happened? Because in the world, 60% of the recycling and handling of plastic waste is done through informal systems. So informal systems is very difficult to identify, very difficult to measure, and it's very difficult to intervene because you don't have a mechanism of governance. You don't have a central mechanism of governance. So this is something that we are striving a lot in UNEP and in all the project and activities related to plastic is, first of all, to understand how much plastic waste is being generated, how much plastic is going to nature, how much plastic is being recycled, how it's being recycled. And once you understand this, then you can come with the solutions, then you can propose alternatives, then you can find opportunities. But the understanding, the data, the information, the awareness of the system and how it's being done, I think this is the main challenge.
I see. Yeah, thank you, Felipe-san. How about you, Watanabe-san?
Yeah, no, thank you very much. Now, I think we have also been participating in the negotiation as observer and also sharing the lessons from what we have been doing. But one of the challenges that we see is really we need to further strengthen the policy and regulatory framework so that there is interest from both public and private sector to, invest on this in a more long term and understanding the impact and really the huge sort of societal and economic impact to the economy. And for doing that, also Asian Development Bank has experience working on many loans and credits. And actually, I have a biodiversity background, and we just launched a 100 million biodiversity bond. Actually, a Japanese insurance company, Daiichi bought that, and the private sector sort of finance and capital can flow in and further enhance the sort of lack of financing to support these initiatives. And I think those are really key sort of elements and incentives to further work on the issue. And I think the capacity gap, the financing gap, institutional gap is a huge element, and we're ready to support the countries that are interested in providing both support towards public and private sector finance and scale these initiatives further. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Watanabe-san. Additionally, I'd like to ask Watanabe-san on the impact of the current plastic treaty negotiation discussion. In your presentation, you presented that ADB is now supporting Global Plastic Treaty Support, GPT support. I'm just wondering, do you think the current situation, the international discussion was not concluded as planned, have some impact on your ongoing Global Plastic Treaty support?
Great. No, thank you very much. And just to clarify, we are ready to support the implementation of the GPT. So the current support is more towards supporting general policy and regulatory framework development, investment projects on innovative alternative, as well as waste management, those type of initiatives. But yes, we were hopeful that we can scale these initiatives by having a global agreement. It would, this would not stop our support towards particularly Pacific states. I know there is a key focus on that in the next panels, but we really see that there is huge need, particularly in Asia Pacific being the main source and main impact happening, and we can sort of collectively work together. So again, under this sort of initiative, overall initiative, we are also promoting regional cooperation, and we have brought together Pacific island states as well as the key polluters in a way, the Asian countries to come up with more concrete plans and ideas so that we can have a more systemic and strategic investment moving forward. So hope this can be done further with global agreement and push the agenda forward. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Watanabe-san. So lastly, may I ask Felipe-san, do you know any future scheduling on the plastic treaty discussion this year?
No, there is no decision yet. So this is up now to the member states to discuss. We have the chair and the co-chairs of the International Negotiation Committee. There were some conversations. There were some expectation that we may have some resumed session by 2025 at some moment, but we still don't know, and this is up to member states to decide. UNEP is ready to support. Again, we think that there is momentum. We think that there is more convergence than divergence. So whatever countries decide and whenever they decide to resume, I am sure that we'll have a good outcome.
Okay, thank you, Felipe-san. We are running out of time already, but I'd like to proceed at least the next question. So the next question is, what challenges do donors face when funding projects aim at reducing plastic pollution? How can these challenges be overcome to ensure successful project implementation on plastics? So could you please share with your thought in very short version? So may I ask Maeshima-san first?
Okay, I would like to answer very short. The point is co-creation. Yeah, we always mentioned it through the JCCI. And yes, when considering the entire life cycle of plastics, the involvement of private sector in the upstream and manufacturing and supply chain side is very essential. So it is necessary to support the private sector and work together. And we'd like to create the environment to promote the plastic circular economy with partner donors such as UNEP and ADP, also the public and private sector. Thank you.
Thank you, Maeshima-san.
So two recommendations. First, that as I told, the solutions must come first in the upstream part of the plastic value chain. So there is no way to to come with a solution if you just focus on plastic waste management. If you want to do a project in a country, you need to speak with the manufacturing, production factor, with the production of plastic products. These companies are eager to cooperate, to collaborate to the solutions, but they must be part of the interventions. Otherwise, waste management will not be able to cope with the increasing amount of materials that I am generating and you are generating. Second, we need to balance short-term implementation with long-term sustainability of the project, because many times, time and time again, the enforcement and the engagement in the new intervention, the new regulations take a lot of time. And some countries are not used to the waste management mechanisms, to policy and the regulatory frameworks. So we need to give time, we need to have massive campaigns, so the population, the society as a whole, private sector, they can understand the regulation, then can enforce, the regulation can be adapted. And also, many times, we just provide infrastructure for recycling, but we do not take care of markets for recycling. So we need to take care what kind of plastics are getting into the recycling facilities and who is buying these recycled plastics, because many times there is no buyers, and so this plastic recycling business will fail because there is no buyers. So we need to consider who is sending the plastic materials for recycling plants and who is buying the recycled plastics. All of this needs to be considered.
Thank you, Watanabe-san. Floor is yours.
Thank you. So I think the key challenge again is the national policies and regulatory frameworks still have quite a bit of gap, and the national policies and local policies really need to be coherent and with the regional and global commitments. And I think there is a challenge towards that. Another thing is the financing gap. I think there is many good examples of a smaller scale initiative that has been happening with donor support or without, with the government support, or the NGOs are also doing great work with women's group and civil society and all that. But I think this is really a time that we really want to scale up these work. And some of the work, like the policy-based loan, we are providing $500 million loan to like Indonesia and Philippines to really decrease marine debris and come up with sort of a life cycle circular economy sort of support. And I think these type of scaled initiatives with bringing both private and public sector finance is a key to incentivize and also come up with a more impactful sort of initiative. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Watanabe-san. Just thank you, everyone, for your time today. Due to the time constraint, we couldn't finish all the questions that we prepared for this time. But next time, we are sure that we could get enough time for each organization again to explain more of your project updates and then future prospects. So thank you everyone for joining us today. Let's give our panelists a big hand. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Session 2. JICA is conducting 2 plastic-related projects in Thailand. From 2020, Kyushu University and the Chulalongkorn University in Thailand started a joint research project and study project. This is the marine plastic pollution Center of Excellence establishment. And the other one is dispatching of JICA experts to Thailand authority for the monitoring of marine debris. Information exchange among the experts and sharing of results can generate synergy. And this is why these projects are conducted together at the same time. Experts in the front line of prevention of pollution will talk about the results of these projects. First of all, we would like to invite Professor Atsuhiko Isobe from University of Kyushu Research Institute for Applied Mechanics. And then we have Makoto Tsukiji from JICA presenting online. We'll start with Professor Isobe.
I'm very happy to have an opportunity to introduce our ongoing research project supported by the JICA and JST in the framework of the SATREX. The title of our research project is the formation of the Center of Excellence for the Marine Plastic Pollution Studies in the Southeast Asian countries. And I'm Atsuhiko Isobe, working as a principal investigator on the Japan side, and with a counterpart, this is my counterpart, Professor Branop-Piakan, belonging to the Chulalongkorn University. Objective of our research project is very simple: to establish the Center of Excellence regarding the ocean plastic studies, which can support the decision makers to reduce the ocean plastic pollution. And so, to establish, in establishing the Center of the Excellence of the Oceanographic Studies, we try to share this technology among the researchers in the ASEAN countries, including the Thailand. For example, the technology is drone photography, drone measurement of the ocean plastics by using the drone photography to measure the measure the amount of the beach plastic litter, or sampling and quantifying microplastic in both rivers and oceans, or analysis of the chemical pollutant, including the marine plastics, including the microplastics, and also numerical modeling of the ocean plastics. These technology are shared among the researchers of the Thailand to establish the Center of the Excellence, and Center of the Excellence of the Marine Plastic Studies try to make an action plan to support the Thailand government or Thailand society to reduce the ocean plastic pollutions by using these kind of this listed method. Sorry. Okay, now I introduce our research accomplishment in our project. I prepared 3 research accomplishments to share today's seminar. First, we repeatedly measure the microplastic abundance in the coastal waters in Thailand here, and find the seasonal variation, the seasonality of the abundance of the microplastic, how the sea around the Thailand are polluted by the microplastic. We check the different seasons. So this bar chart shows the abundance of the microplastic by different months from the April to the next April. And we can find that the microplastic abundance is in rainy season is much higher compared to the abundance in the dry season in the sea around Thailand. This is suggested the mechanism how the microplastic are generated in the subtropical or tropical areas. So in the case of the Japan, the mid-latitude countries, we have a very short river from the mountain to the oceans. In this case, the river can act as a transporter of the plastic debris to the oceans. But in the case of the Thailand, or in the case of the ASEAN country with long and winding rivers, the microplastics are generated in rivers, because in transporting the ocean plastic debris in floating in the long and winding rivers under the very stimulated, very intense ultraviolet radiation, the plastic debris degraded and fragmented within the rivers. So this means that the river acts as a generator of the microplastics. So if in the rainy season, when river discharge increase, the not ocean plastic but microplastic directly increase in the coastal waters. So this is one of the findings of our research accomplishment. And also, in the coastal waters, we found so many zooplankton ingest the microplastics. Many small microplastics are found in the zooplankton. This is very important in considering ocean ecosystem, because zooplankton is a fundamental oceanic organism to support the big ocean marine organisms because of the feeding. So if the ocean plastic pollution is proceed in the zooplankton community, that may be the big damage to the marine environment. Another accomplishment is to find the very small microplastic in the corals or coral reefs. So this is published last year, and reported by the media inside and outside of the Japan, including the Newsweek or Kyodo Tsushin. And the point is the coral very small microplastic found in not mucus, not tissue, but skeleton of the corals. In the finding, very small microplastic with a size smaller than 100 micrometers are found in mucus, tissues, and corals by 30% per each. This is very important because once the microplastic move to the skeleton, it's impossible to leave the corals to the outside, because skeleton can trap the hold the microplastic eternally. This means that the coral can act as a big storage accumulator of the microplastic once spread in the environment. Our next interest is that how the corals in the subtropical or tropical waters keep the microplastics or ocean plastic inside. This may be the non-negligible fraction of the fate of the ocean plastics all across the world. So this should be the next title. But at the present time, the finding is that we can find the microplastic move to the skeletons. That is one of the accomplishment of our research project. Another is finding the another finding is we found the microplastic in the road dust. As you know, that we have so many open dumping sites in the ASEAN region, like this, and we try to find the microplastic included in the road dust surrounding in the area surrounding this point source of the the plastic debris. Surprisingly, we can find the very small microplastic included in the road dust around this area, and that abundance exponentially reduced as we move to the far area from the open dumping site. This means that the open dumping site act as a point source of the ocean plastics, especially for the microplastic in the environment on land. So this is our another finding. So capacity building is also one of our research activities in the framework of the SATRIPS. For example, the webinar to instruct how we planned ocean plastic observation service, or how we make analysis of the microplastic, including the very small microplastics, smaller than several hundred micrometers. And also we have lectures, we have some training course, including the facilities, the latest facilities to analyze the microplastic. And also, of course, we make some collaborative observation with ASEAN researcher in the framework of the SATRIPS. Okay, finally. So now this is our expected activity in the remaining period of the SATRIPS project. Now we are conducting the social sciences in ocean plastic to make action plan to reduce the microplastics, to reduce ocean plastic pollution in Thailand, and also the numerical modeling will support to make action plan in our project. Also, what we have to emphasize is that this is not the start. This is not end of our collaboration regarding the ocean plastic study, but the start of the ocean plastic research collaboration between the Japanese or ASEAN researchers in the near future. Thank you very much.
Isobe様、ありがとうございました。
Thank you very much, Professor Isobe.
様、ご準備よろしければご発表お願いいたします。
So, Mr. Tsukiji, if you're ready, please do start your presentation. Thank you very much. Once again, good morning, everyone, and good morning and good evening to you all. So, can you see the slide that is being shown? Yes, we can see the slide. Thank you very much. So, once again, my name is Tsukiji, and this time from Thailand. I am participating online, and at the moment, as I've been briefly described, JICA program in terms of creating a marine debris hub, and I have assignment of 1 year. And last year in February, I was appointed. I came to Thailand, and with the Thailand Department of Marine and Coastal Research Center, Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment. I'm working at this DMCR. And this February, I'm concluding my assignment. But as you can see here, one of the major project, the deliverables is that Marine Debris Center, establishing this MDC. So putting the plan together. So towards that, what we have been doing is what I would like to describe to you today. So there are three outputs. So in terms of the first half of my assignment, marine debris monitoring and marine debris management, the status quo and what are the issues. With a counterparty, we have identified that and we have reviewed that. And based on the review, all the stakeholders, not only the Ministry of DMCR, but the other department, the JICA, Maeshima-san, all have echoed that the plastic life cycle have to be considered in coming up with measures. So all the stakeholders, we have a consultation with those members. And the actual output 1, 2, implementing that, we would like to lead that to the final project. So it's a JICA collaborative project. So output 1 and 2, all the activities going to lead to the capacity building, so which is therefore output 3 is embedded in output number 1 and 2. So ultimately, we have planned to establish Marine Debris Center MDC. So we're now finalizing on this effort right now. So the output 1, the review of that, what's the situation of the status quo, the policy stakeholder technical aspect, 3 aspect had been looked upon. And the second is that the status quo and what the challenges are. So regarding marine debris monitoring, intervention is also included, but the status quo and also the challenges. And Marine Debris Center, we are now finalizing the plan for MDC, but the framework, the strategic framework, I would like to introduce them to you. So these are the 3 agenda. So I know time is running out, so I would like to be very brief, I'm sorry to say, but basically Marine Debris Center, marine debris monitoring is the theme of INC discussion. In the INC discussion, the monitoring methodology, how to harmonize that, and the national action plan, we talked about the indicators as well, as you may know. And based on those aspects, in Thailand, Marine Debris Center, we need to create this and how do we conduct monitoring. With, of course, the international trend, we need to be mindful about that as well. So the UNEP, as Philippe also mentioned, that UNEP, the platform, this is very, very meaningful, the platform with UNEP. So collecting not only data alone, but data harmonization is also something that needs to be achieved. So therefore, the international institution and the INC discussion, on the table INC discussion, monitoring marine debris center, the monitoring system have to be considered, and that is an important aspect. So we're now collaborating with the counterparties. So moving towards Thailand, well, Thailand in plastic waste management, we have roadmap from 2018, and the phase, we are now in phase 2, action plan phase. There are several phases. So the target plastic, we define the target plastic, and there are 10 tools. So EPR, database, and all of these is going to be encompassed, and we have clarified what we're going to do. And the DMCR, so what with Thailand Ministry, with various stakeholders, as I've said, the plastic life cycle, not only the debris, but what are we going to do with the upstream, not the downstream? So that, of course, are relevant stakeholders, and based on that, the management, the DMCR, what the responsibility of the ministry and what the DMC should be, MDC should be. I'm sorry, there are a lot of acronyms. It's really misleading. I'm sorry to say, but it's basically plastic life cycle, something relevant to the life cycle. And the ministry, the fisheries and marine department, and also in industry department and pollution control department. So DMCR is starting from the downstream, to coastal area to the ocean. So scope covering those area is what we are looking at. So what can we do? And what do we need to identify, and how can we contribute for the improvement upstream is the important approach. So that's what we are discussing right now. So in terms of the below the organization, these are the department where I am, Marine Debris Focal Area Team, the Department of Marine and Coastal Resources, DMCR, we call it DMCR. So DMCR organization, we are counterparties, is within the DMCR, Research and Development Institute. So this institute, so Gulf of Thailand, the Gulf of Thailand, there are 6 research centers alongside with the Gulf of Thailand, and 6 of them originally in coral oceanography, marine endangered species. Those are the normal monitoring responsibility that they had. And on top of that, from 2017, marine debris related. So they already had a marine monitoring methodology. So marine debris is another item to monitor. On top of that, they have done. So marine debris focal area team, the representative, the theme, the representative are selected in creating the theme in the blue box. And at the same time, the research center outside of that, in fact, the MCR, the Gulf of Thailand, there are 10 regional centers, and they are mainly cleaning up and working with local government in collection and returning them. It's really the intervention part of the arm. And I'm sorry again, very busy slide, my apologies, but the monitoring, what DMCR, what they are doing today on the left line or pillar, the white part is macro and green is micro. So at the moment, there are 10 programs, macro and micro, in total. 10 monitoring are being conducted as of now. So the most important thing is the protocol. It's science-based evidence. So with high quality of data, what methodology is utilized? So Professor Isobe mentioned earlier the satraps. These are institutions with the Thai protocol. Creating them is the most important factor. Of course, global protocol following guideline is important, but within the context is a Thailand guideline. So the MA is not being completed yet. So therefore, how are we going to create this? It's slightly strategic in nature, but we are now working on this right now. So in summarizing this, in terms of where we are, the Research and Development Institute, Research Center, this is the monitoring conducting, and regional office, the intervention that are being conducted. So these activities are currently underway. And the current status issue, which I would like to highlight, is that already has been alluded, the Thai Plastic Waste Management Action Plan. The action plan, there are some indicators that we will need to reflect. So as been discussed, target plastic, we need to clear the target plastic in 2027. This is what we are going to do. So one of the interesting area, as an example, is basically in Thailand. So the land to sea, the plastic volume is 0.2 billion ton. So that has been said. So it's going to be cut into 50%. So 10 tool will be utilized with the indicator following them, and then trying to mitigate. And the intervention would help mitigating. So this number, especially this number, is quite important and quite interesting for me, because where this number come from is basically plastic value chain. It's a statistical data, and most of them is waste management. Well, waste management and coastal area, the dumping site, multiplying that, and we calculate the plastic waste, how much is now is leaked to the water. We do the coefficient to do the math, and leakage to the ocean, the value chain, the waste management. We are coming from that very basic numbers. But EMCR area, the coastal area, the river mouth, and ocean, which I shared with you earlier. So in the data of the field are being measured. So the statistical data, if we can verify one of those data, so 2027, let's say we're going to have them. So the numbers with the MCR will be able to communicate that. So at the same time, the statistical data, the field data, what's the gap? We can also verify them, we can also confirm them, and basically in flow of these all work, we will be able to follow up on that. So it truly is a plastic life cycle that we can follow. And from the very end of the river, downward river, DMCR will be able to acknowledge that from the very downstream. So based on the status code with the counterparty, we have recent month negotiation, not only the counterparty, but really the stakeholders altogether. But marine debris, monitoring and intervention. Well, marine debris management is a better word. So the activities, the status quo, there are many different stakeholders looking at all different directions. It's like a puzzle, and the puzzle pieces are all dispersed as of now. And we our center monitoring activities is in the center. And beside from that, there are donors and regional offices or many activities are undertaken. So at the end of the day, when you converge this together, well, unless we converge them, we cannot take strategic action. So we are thinking about that, and those issues are now become evident. This is just a reference. So the root cause, what the root cause? Finding the root cause, we have done that in finding the root cause, and this is a kind of a summary, but a piece of the puzzle, sorting them out, and to become a one big picture. The current biggest issue, to be candid, is we're doing monitoring, but the monitoring data is there, but this data is not utilized for policy making. That's the problem. So there are 10 tools I mentioned in creating the policy. But the verification also should be done by the monitoring. But the feedback also is not there today. So basically, the monitoring data, science-based leading to policy development, we need to establish that sort of a platform so that we'll be able to evaluate that. So we need to have a PDC cycle that we can run on. So that's the plan for the Marine Debris Center. And ultimately, we have confirmed our way forward in terms of what we need to do. So what's necessary in doing so is the policy development, data management, and monitoring strategy and researches. And stakeholders. How are we going to collaborate with stakeholders? We have the activity already going, but it's not unified yet as one sort of a unified effort. So how can we connect this together is the most important thing going forward. So in the future, this is the future of how we discern the future. So within DMCR, there are a Marine Debris Center. Could be one division within the DMCR. So creating this division, and we're going to do data management, and then feeding that into policy making. We are doing monitoring, but the monitoring is not relevant or not science-based. So in Thailand, satraps, Professor Isobe from Kyushu University mentioned satrap. This is a wonderful activity, so we need to leverage on Kyushu University's activity. The coral, of course, research is very deeply embedded in what we do. So the knowledge and insight have to be utilized in monitoring activities, and that needs to be fed into policy making. Well, policy making, of course, we have to evaluate that as well in creating the PDCA. So that is something that we need to establish and do. So this is my last slide. Well, these are bits and pieces of puzzle, unifying them. Integrated is a word in JICA project. It's a truly integrated way, strategically high marine debris issue will be coped on. And that could be accumulated in Thailand as a knowledge, and then that could be a good case study. So that could be shared within ASEAN region as a model. So maybe the ink discussion, we can also contribute, maybe too late now, but after the convention being compiled, monitoring methodologies or the Marine Debris Center, the role that it could play. So those sort of the communication within the region to the global, we like to disseminate them. So GTML on global, as a one good case study, we hope that we will be highlighted. And that's what we are hoping to do. I'm sorry, it was very quick, but that's all from me. Thank you very much.
築地様ありがとうございました。これでセッション2は終了となります。プログラムを再開し、セッション3
It's time to start the program again. This is session 3, SDGs 12, action of a countermeasure against plastic, and SDGs 12, sustainable consumption and production. So we want to show you some examples of recycling and the collection of plastic of various countries based on SDG 12, responsible consumption and production. So we'll be inviting plastic collectors, recyclers from the private sector, and also researchers from research institutes who are studying the sustainable consumption and production. We will first of all hear from Tonga Recyclers Association, Mr. Simone Vuki, and this will be followed by Mr. Milesh Chaturanga from Eco Spindles. They're both participating online. And then we will hear from Miho Hayashi, Program Manager of IGS, who will be participating from the venue. And after that, we will have a panel discussion. Now, Mr. Simon Vuki, if you're ready, please start your presentation.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Simon Vuki here from the Tonga Recyclers Association. If you don't know Tonga is a island in the Pacific Ocean, South Pacific. And I'm the president. Can you hear me?
Yes, please turn off your camera.
Sorry?
Okay, please turn off your camera.
Simon-san, can you hear?
Yeah.
Yeah, better to turn off the camera.
Sorry, it's it's heavy rain here in Tonga, and I think the connection is a bit affected. Can you hear me, Yoko-san?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello?
Yes,
Thank you.
I can hear you.
Do I need to... Okay, next slide, please. Hello. Yeah. Thank you. This is a short brief about the Tonga Recyclers Association. Our moderator today, Dr. Yoko Onuma-san, has been, she was the one who initiated the setting up of our association. Not only that, but around the Pacific Islands as well. What I want to mention here is that TRA working together with J Prison in advancing and working on 3R plus return. And I think it's appropriate for this discussion today. Next slide, please. Sustainable consumption and production. We're talking about the plastic action today. Here in Tonga, up to last year, there's no work on plastic. It's been a huge problem. And I believe it's the same all over the Pacific. And we all have to consider this the aim of trying to do something about the consumption and production of plastic. And right now we are working on it, and that's what I'm going to talk about and how it's applied to the SDG 12. Thank you. Next slide, please. Here it's identified the 4 main factors in the SD consumption and disposal of waste. Number 1 and 2, Tonga is not a extraction of resources, nor processing of resources for plastic, but all of it are imported into the country. Majority is just consumption, but there is a huge problem with disposal of waste. Thank you. Next slide, please. Working together with J Prism here in the Pacific, TRA is focusing on the free R plus return. Majority of our members, we're doing the free R, which is reduce, reuse, recycle. But the problem with plastic here, the free R can't solve it. So return is a very important concept for us. The EPR, Extended Producer Responsibility, how the producers of this plastic involved in cleaning up the islands, and we are working closely with Coca-Cola, their partner here in the Pacific and Asia, which is called Coca-Cola Euro-Pacific. Last year, we went into a partnership with Coca-Cola with the help of J Prism, of course, to start the collection of PET plastic, bottles, Coca-Cola bottles, and all other different type of PETs here in the islands. Next slide, please. EBR is the key policy approach to managing waste and promoting sustainable practices. It is an important aspect of supporting a circular economy, and businesses must embrace environmentally friendly process to comply. EBR can be beneficial not only to the environment, but also to the producers of products who can reduce their reliance on finite resources. As I have mentioned before, the problem of plastic, it is a huge problem. And there is no way for us to export it or recycle it locally. We can do a little with the free R, but the project with Coca-Cola has given us hope. And to me, that's the only way for us to recycle plastic environmentally, is to collect here in Tonga, and then we ship it overseas through Coca-Cola and our partners to do the recycling in overseas facilities. Next, please. There's a huge challenge here in the Pacific. It's the same everywhere. In Fiji, in Solomon Island, in Vanuatu, in Samoa, it's the same here in Tonga. It's very expensive and difficult to recycle plastic. There is no value in it. The volume is too small for us to set up a recycling facility. There is a vast distance and expensive shipping cost. The shipping cost for a container here to Malaysia or Indonesia to recycle plastic costs around $6,000 US. So the value of plastic can't cover that cost. Most of the islands, they don't have any campsite collection for PET plastic or any type of plastic. There's a need for bespoke solution based on our geography, cultural factors, accessibility, and convenience, which is why the partnership with Coca-Cola Euro-Pacific is I think to me is a winner. And I think that's the way for the rest of the Pacific Islands to go. We need to develop recycling behavior and awareness. It's a huge problem in the Pacific. The people are yet to understand the significant damage that this plastic is doing to the environment. But not only that, they don't understand the importance of recycling to help us eliminate this problem. Approximately 12 million PET items enter our island annually. As you know, some are going to the ocean and the rest is just in the environment. About 3 million units belong to Coca-Cola, which they will collect. But not only that, they are going to collect all the other PET plastic from other producers. but we are trying our best to go to work with our government and all producers so that everyone coming together to follow the Coca-Cola pathway. Next, please. The scheme we started last year, which is only a trial. We have collected over 5,000 kilos of PET plastic from 6 schools in one district. We have learned from it, and we are ready to go public. We're going to set the 22nd of March. We're going to have an official launch with our government and Coca-Cola, together with JICA and J-Prism and other stakeholders. And hopefully we're going to be a full force in collecting the PET plastic here in Tonga. And like I said, there are 12 million units coming annually. And imagine all these plastic are just staying in the environment. They are not going anywhere for the last 50 years. We're going to send the material from here to Malaysia through a partnership with Swire Shipping. There is a Moanataka partnership with SPRED, South Pacific Regional Environmental Agency. And we are going to make use of it to ship this plastic to the Coca-Cola recycling facility in Malaysia. Next slide, please. These are our partners, obviously Coca-Cola Europe partners, Swire Shipping, and J-Prism here in the Pacific. Next slide, please. Thank you very much, Malo Opito. I hope I touched base on our work we are doing here at Tonga Recycling Association to help minimize plastic pollution here in Tonga. Thank you, Malo Opito.
サイモネブギ様、ありがとうございました。続きまして、
So now I would like to invite Mr. Nilesh Chaturanga. If you're ready, please take the floor.
Good morning to you all and good evening to you all. And first, I would like to say we are very much honored and thank you for this opportunity at presenting at JCCI International Seminar. And we are very much eager to share our expertise and experience in this recycling sector. And before the beginning, I would like to share a small video to oversee the operations of recycling of our factory. Thank you. Can you play the video?
Sri Lanka, known through the ages for her exotic wildlife, stunning vistas and beautiful beaches, is threatened by an invasion. Plastic waste is choking ecosystems, endangering animals and people, and consuming valuable resources. But together, we can create a cleaner, more sustainable Sri Lanka for tomorrow. EcoSpindles operates on the principle that waste can be transformed into value. This is why our business serves the dual purposes of offering innovative products such as professional and household cleaning tools and polyester yarn for the apparel industry, created by recycling plastic waste, and of helping to clean our environment. While we and our agents island-wide collect more than 250 metric tons of plastic waste for processing each month, and that amounts to 20% of the plastic waste generated, more needs to be done. This is why you, our partners, are vital to our country's healing. By combining your initiatives with our expertise as recycling partner, we can make a lasting difference together. Corporate partners work with us, setting up collection bins in convenient locations with signage that fosters recycling. This can help you proactively manage the entire life cycle of products and visibly reaffirm your commitment to the environment. Environmentally conscious consumers recognize and appreciate these initiatives and the brands behind them. Other partners focus on selected locations, cleaning areas vulnerable to littering. They heal their surroundings and promote tourism. Now that's good business. We also support corporate social responsibility projects initiated by partners, giving you the freedom to select causes meaningful to your stakeholders.
ප්‍රතිචක්‍රීකරණ ආයතන වලින් ඇවිල්ලා කරන මේ වගේ ප්‍රජාසත්කාර අපේ මේ විදිහේ සිරිපාදේ වගේ ස්වභාවික රක්ෂිත ආරක්ෂා කරගන්න ස්වභාවික පරිසර පද්ධතිය ආරක්ෂා කරගන්න ලොකු මෙහෙයක් කියලා විශ්වවිද්‍යාල ශිෂ්‍යයින් විදිහට අපිට හිතෙනවා.
We assist all our partners by transporting and recycling the gathered waste. To live up to our stakeholders' trust, EcoSpindles maintains and is certified for industry standards. We are committed to creating a world where nothing goes to waste. Join us and turn today's hope into tomorrow's planet.
Can you share the slides, please? Thank you. I'm Nilesh Chaturanga, representing EcoSpindles Private Limited. To the first slide, please. Can you move to the next slide? Okay. First, I would like to introduce about our company. Our company is EcoSpindles parent group is a BPPL Holdings. It is founded in 1984. Currently, there are nearly 900 employees are working, and we are a public listed company in Colombo Stock Exchange. And mainly, we are producing recycled polyester yarns and produce eco-friendly cleaning tools, brushwares, and fibers for the markets worldwide. And in our company, we do have private labeling, especially for our brushwares and our own branded products for the local markets. And we produce synthetic filaments for the brushware and recycled polyester yarns for the fabric mills. And we have 6 factories located in Sri Lanka. To the next slide, please. These are one of our main customers, Nike, Adidas, Decathlon, likewise. These are mainly for our recycled polyester yarns. This is to showcase that we can match the international requirement for the polyester yarns. Okay, next slide. Okay, in our company, mainly in our country, recycling process is like this. Mainly, we collect PET bottles from our own regional collection centers, material recovery facilities, and baling centers located island-wide. And also, we have more than 600 registered suppliers with our company. Also, we do harvest from open dump site, especially located in north and eastern region of the country. And in our factory, we are converting those into recycled PET flakes. And then from that, we are producing recycled polyester yarns and also monofilaments as well. Next slide. And we would like to look at back our journey of recycling. We began PET collection in our country in 2014 with the average of 40 tons per month. Currently, we are collecting nearly 300 metric tons of PET plastic monthly. As you can see in the graph, we have drastically achieved an increasement of our company's plastic collection waste. Next slide, please. Since EcoSpindles is the largest PET recycler in our country in Sri Lanka. We have some other few recyclers as Viridis, Barnes and Neptune. And when we are increasing our collection recycling rate from 17% to 18% in 2014, national recycling levels also going up. Now it is about 22% in the national wide in Sri Lanka. Next slide. Okay, in our collection center, we collect PET bottles island-wide. We do have our own material recovery facility located around the island, and also we do have 14 whaling centers. For these whaling centers, we invested in capex requirements, and also we are working with some third-party partners for the whaling sites and propose whaling sites for the upcoming projects as well. And our stakeholders coming from local institutions, especially local authorities who are responsible the waste collection, CTP depots, hospitals, railway station, any other government administration agencies as well. We also working with the schools, universities, private schools likewise, and also we work with community corporate brands, private factories, banks, and many other private sector institutions as well. And also we collect PET bottles from hotels, restaurants, and also we work with the community, especially with the waste collectors, informal waste collection, and community societies as well. Next slide, please. And we have identified 3 main strategies for future plans to increase PET collection of our country, of course, for our country as well. And institutional collections, soft collection, and household collections are the identified 3 strategies. And next slide too, please. First strategy of us is institutional collection, which is we are planning to at the first stage expand the network development through a third-party support for expand our MRF collection capacity. Then we are going to increase the network development of whaling site, which is ultimately focus on collection development, and also with the Central Environmental Authority, the focal point responsible for policies in Sri Lanka. We are discussion with them into activate the collect recyclable material, especially from the dump yards, large dump yards located in Sri Lanka, especially in north and eastern areas. Next slide, please. And strategy 2 is to collect shop collection in Sri Lanka. Main language is Sinhala. In Sinhala, we call it Kade for the shops, small shops, restaurants, hotels like. And we have identified 3 strategies for that. Cart, we have, it's a handheld small cart. We have introduced in the urban areas, very urban areas. It will averagely collect about 1 metric ton per month, and it was created many job opportunities at the grassroots level of the society. And we also working with the local bike manufacturer. We have introduced a e-bike. It is an electronic bike attached cabin quantity have about 50 kilogram trailer. And we have launched 5 e-bikes in main cities around Sri Lanka, and it's going well. We are collecting about nearly 1 ton per bike per month. And recent next initiative we are going to planning electric three-wheeler, electric powered three-wheeler. And also we are working with the local electric vehicle supplying company in Sri Lanka. And it has a cabin capacity of nearly 120 kilograms per round. And we are expecting when it launching, we collect about 2 tons per month. Especially these are low cost transportation collection methods. And strategy, next slide, please. Is for the household collection. To collect waste from the household, we are looking into deposit refund system. This is recently have been talkative in Sri Lanka, especially ministries interested in now their proposal flowing, and we believe a good opportunity to collect household waste is the deposit refund system, which we hope will be implemented in near future in Sri Lanka. Next slide, please. And in our company, we do conduct many awareness and education programs. we last few years and ongoing, we are conducting many awareness programs in schools, especially government school, private schools, and even preschools, and conducting many awareness sessions on private sector institutions and on public government institutions as well. And also we do awareness organizing beach cleanups in around the country, especially with private sector corporates and help of students from universities and schools as well. Also, we are organizing annual cleanups in seasonal pilgrims location in Sri Lanka, especially in Sri Pada season. We have collected nearly 20 tons from the last 5 years, even from the Sri Pada festival season alone. And also, we are organizing programs in Katragam festival season, Thalavila, and also Madu Church. There are some festivals in Sri Lanka. And we do have introduced a drop-off bin collection program. We have placed more than 500 bins, drop-off bin in the country island-wide, and with many government and private organizations. And recently, we do introduce this program into Sri Lanka's parliament as well. Next slide, please. And we so far in the past few years, we have achieved some policy changes, especially the banning of blue water bottles, which is have a lower value in PET recycling market. And also we have contributed by supporting policy changes to ban PVC labels and shrink traps in water bottle industry. And we are also looking into ban on colored water bottle for the production for beverages industry as well. And also discussions are ongoing with the ministries and other relevant agencies for imposing tax on imported monofilament to promote the recycled monofilament usage in the country. And also discussions are ongoing for imposing tax on virgin polymers, because in Sri Lanka, recyclers are struggling on selling their products locally as well. And also discussions are ongoing with Central Environmental Authority to activate especially the dump yards in northern and southern eastern areas of the country. And next slide. Those are the things I would like to share with you, and thank you very much for listening.
ニレッシュ・チャトランガ様、ありがとうございました。続きまして、林様。
Mr. Nilesh Chaturanga, and we would like to now invite Ms. Hayashi to the podium.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Miho Hayashi. I'm a program manager in IGIS, Institute for Global Environmental Strategy. So today, is the presentation ready? Hi. I'm going to talk about the pilot activity that we are planning to implement in Padang City in Indonesia. So the previous two speakers were talking about the involvement of the foreign companies. But in Padang City, we are trying to involve the local companies to strengthen the circular economy inside the city. Can I continue? I'll give you the briefing explanation, introduction about the city. This city is the capital of the West Sumatra province in Indonesia, and that has the less than 1,920,000 residents. So this is a capital. It's not really small city, but it's not like Jakarta. So what makes the recycling difficult is that Padang City, there is no recycling plant. And they have to bring all the waste plastic to other cities, which is very, very far from Padang City. So the transportation cost is really high. Therefore, our city has to actually find out the solution, how to optimize, how to make more economically value for the recycling. Okay. Yeah, sorry, I skipped to this. Just I'll give you the brief overview of the plastic crisis in Indonesia. So the Indonesia is the second largest contributor to the plastic waste globally after China, and 10 million tons of plastic waste generated annually, of which 3.2 million tons goes to the ocean. So you can imagine how big impact the country will cause in terms of the marine plastic pollution, and also the damage on the ecosystem, in the marine ecosystem. At the same time, it also influences or affects the economy on tourism and the fishery as well. So as I just mentioned earlier, the Padang city has a 920,000 population. And we went there and then did study about the waste audit. And then we found out nearly 650 tons is generated per day, of which 63%, which is quite common, is food waste. And the plastic waste accounts for a little bit more than 10%. 74% of the total waste goes to the landfill site, whereas only less than 10%, 7% is recycled because of the transport and also another reasons. On the other hand, the waste burning occurs very high, 12%. So the another issue that the city has been facing is the landfill site, which is almost full. There's they say that another couple of years of lifespan they have. So the important thing for the city is to reduce the amount of waste that goes to the landfill site, and also they need to increase the plastic waste collection, and they need to strengthen the recycling activity inside the city. And with support of IGES, the city developed the action plan in 2022. And we established the 5 objectives, but our pilot activity is going to contribute to 2 of them, which are written in red. One is to increase the waste recycle, especially plastic waste recycling, and another one is to enhance the institutional capacity through the collaboration with other partners. So I will show you the current recycling flow in Padang City. As you can see the bottom, the waste that is generated from each household goes to, some of them goes to the waste bank. The WB stands for the waste bank unit. And then those accumulated waste banks will be sent to the central waste bank, which is bigger waste bank. And then this, again, more accumulated but valuable waste is sold to aggregator, and the aggregator sells to the recycling center or recycling facility outside of the Padang City. But since the waste bank unit is really weak in terms of their operation, they are not fully able to collect the valuable waste from the households. And in addition, the awareness level of the households are not really high either. So as you can see, the more waste are collected by the community collection point instead of waste bank, and then that waste are collected by the municipal collection vehicle and then goes to the landfill sites. So since they don't segregate the waste at source, all mixed waste goes to the landfill site, which is the current situation. Now I'm going to explain about the several stakeholders one by one. So the first one is waste bank. As you might hear about waste bank in Indonesia, this is the facility promoted by the government as well. So this is a place, it's like name says bank. So the people who bring the valuable waste, such as paper, metal, plastic included, or any other recyclable products, if they bring to the waste bank, they can give you cash. So they get the incentive, and then the reason behind of the promotion is, yes, because of the incentive, we expect that the citizen will bring more valuable waste to the waste bank. But the reality is not that so easy. Another function that they have is awareness raising, education to the citizen. They are supposed to provide the awareness raising activities to the citizen. But again, since the waste bank itself is really weak, it's not fully effective as of today. The key actor, second key actor is aggregator. So they collect the waste from informal pickers who collects those valuable waste from individual houses and sometimes from the business sectors or commercial sector and sometimes schools. So this waste aggregator, actually I visited this place with the name called Equatu. They collect so many plastic and then they do manual sorting. And after that sorting, they do shredding. The plastic is shredded and then sent to Medan City, which is 770 kilometers away from Padang City, or sometimes even to Jakarta, which is way farther. But still, this business is profitable. They can make money out of this, even though, despite the transport cost. But in order to scale up the business or in order to increase the profit, they need more plastic waste. And another important actor is off-taker of RDF. RDF is also the waste which has lower value than the waste that goes to the waste bank. So they can, for example, cement Padang factory, which is the cement Padang, is the one of the off-taker of the waste, including those. Even plastic, it's a film plastic which has lower value, or cooking oil, used clothes, or even leaves. They take it to use it as an alternative fuel for the coal. Since the government has also established the policy to towards a net zero, towards a decarbonization, this movement actually aligns with this government policy. An electric plant also exists in Padang City. They also need the biomass waste to utilize for the boiler. So as you can see, the city is suffering from the increasing the waste and also mixed waste, which still has value. And if you look at the demand, we see the aggregator want more plastic waste. Of course, the cement Padang also want more plastic waste to replace the coal consumption. And then the central waste bank, they also need more valuable waste to keep running their business. So what's missing is matchmaking. So our project is trying to match those actors, and then through the enhancement of the institutional capacity of the waste bank. So we investigated the challenge that they face in the waste bank. So this slow manual recording, because they use the accounting book on paper, so they write everything in hand. Therefore, the manual recording takes time, or sometimes data loss, and then lack of transparency, and the people don't trust those waste bank operations. That's the one big issue. They don't have the collection vehicle to go to the individual house to collect. And then I found that the most important thing is they established the waste bank with voluntary mind. They didn't have, most of them, the managers are women, and they are more concentrated on the community activity, or they want to clean the town, which is fine. But since they don't have the business mind, they are not, the operation is not really sustainable. You see, so our plan is to introduce a digital tool, which was already succeeded in Bali. So we are going to support, we're going to collaborate with Gria Luhu, and we also get support from Andalas University, which is also locally in Padang, and they are going to play a role of coordination. And then we provide also educational support through the TOT approach, training of trainers approach. We will skip. So this was, or this is still a current flow of the plastic waste recycling. But through this coordination work among the different actors, and we also apply the digital tool on the smartphone, and we provide the education, we are expecting to bring more waste to the aggregator, and the aggregator will bring the more waste to the other cities. You see the differences, and then also the lower value waste goes to the cement pattern to utilize as a fuel. And then you see the bottom part, the most houses bring their waste to the waste bank unit. So that's the ideal situation. Then we can, we believe that we can make it happen with this application of the digital tool and the coordination among all the stakeholders. Okay, so even though this is still plan that we are going to implement from March, so we will see how it's going, and just stay tuned. We will report the result of the pilot activity around the end of the this year. Thank you very much.
Hayashi-sama, ありがとうございました。
Thank you very much, Ms. Hayashi.
それではパネルディスカッションに移りたいと思います。
So now I'd like to move on to the panel. The moderator for this panel is from JICA Environmental Management and Climate Change Group Global Management Department, Ms. Yoko Onuma, also will be facilitating this session as well. So, Ms. Onuma, please.
Okay, now we can see your face. Now, thank you very much, everyone. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. We'd like to start this 15 minutes panel discussion. This session, we would like to discuss about what action should be taken on plastic under SDG 12, Sustainable Production and Consumption. So firstly, we all know, but let me introduce today's panelists again. From your right, Ms. Miho Hayashi, Program Manager, Institute for Global Environmental Strategy, IGES. Thank you, Hayashi-san, for coming to the venue today and joining us. And then from the online, Mr. Simone Buki, President of Tonga Recyclers Association. Thank you very much, Simone-san, for joining this session.
Thank you. Welcome.
Yeah. Lastly, Mr. Nilesh Chaturanga, Executive Officer of Ecospindo in Sri Lanka. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Nilesh.
Thank you too.
Yeah. Can you please move on to the next slide? Yes. Yeah, so the first question that I'd like to ask each panelist is, how can your company or organization be aligned with the national SDGs or plastic treaty goals? Before I ask the panelists for this question, I will give you a little background information on this question. Our current economic activities have created a society of mass production, mass consumption, mass waste generation, as you all know. But the transition to the circular economy is becoming very important at this moment. And then target of the SDGs 12, the responsible production, sustainable production and consumption is included all the stakeholders, including private companies. And then in accordance with the agreed international framework, such as INC, plastic treaties, in the future. So based on that, I'd like to ask each panelist for your thoughts on this question. Firstly, may I ask Simone-san to answer your thoughts on this question, please?
Thank you, Yoko-san. as I mentioned in my presentation, Tonga Recyclers Association, we basically focus on the 3R, which is come again, reduce, reuse, and recycle. But we found that plastic is the most difficult, recyclable to deal with because there's a lot of them. They are low value, and hardly people can reuse it, or but it's not that in a large way. And so we have approached Coca-Cola, or rather Coca-Cola approached us and says that if they can help, and that's when the return portion of the circular economy comes in. And we believe here at TRA that that's the only solution for us to contribute to the SDG plastic treaty in terms of the disposal of it. We can't do it locally. There is no way we can do it on our own. There is no incentive whatsoever to collect it. With the partnership with Coca-Cola, they help us buy back the PET plastic from the public, and then we process it and export it to Malaysia for responsible recycling. And I think that's our role in contributing to this plastic treaty. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Simon-san. Next, can I ask Hayashi-san?
So in Indonesia, the administrative structure is well established. So in order to align with the international treaty, the national government has already have the waste management strategy, national strategy. So based on the national strategy, we developed the city action plan. So in that sense, our city action plan is in line with the national strategy, which is again in line with the international treaty. So in that way, we implement the pilot activities.
Thank you, Hayashi-san. Next, can I ask Nilesh-san for your thoughts?
Thank you, Anuma-san. In our industry, in recycling industry, our works can be categorized into some sustainable development goals. For example, for SDG 6, clean water and sanitation. For that, our works in organizing and conducting beach cleanups, river cleanups, and lake cleanups we have conducted. And also we are establishing trash barriers with help of other parties to prevent entering the waste into water streams. And it is to reduce the aesthetic pollution and water pollution as well. It is also aligned with sustainable SDG 14, life below water as well. And for the SDG 15, life from land, we do support by it reducing mining the recyclable materials from our dump site, and also our works and harvesting of recycled material before going to the dump yards will minimize the land accumulation of open dumping sites, and also doing city cleanups and locating trough of bins in for the people to put their recyclable plastics and prevent land degradation as well. And for those works are also aligned with Sustainable Development Goal 11, sustainable cities and communities, by helping those to shape urban sustainability. And our works to reduce the virgin plastic usage and promoting recyclable materials also align with SDG 13 climate action activities. And of course, for the SDG 1, no poverty. In our organization and our network, we have nearly 2,000 direct and indirect plastic waste collectors working with us. And for them, nearly about 30 to 35 million of Sri Lankan rupees we are spending per monthly to purchase PET material. That amount goes to the plastic value chains, even for the grassroots level collector and even to mega collector. And this will help to develop their livelihood as well. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Nilesh-san. In addition to your the answer, in line with the SDGs and plastic treaty goal in Sri Lanka, in your presentation material, you are saying that your company is now collecting 300 metric ton per month PET collection entire in Sri Lanka. So how do private company communicate with your government, for example, reporting your monthly achievement or the total the collection amount and the recycling amount to central government and local government?
Yeah, we are mainly working with the local government. There are nearly 336 local government in Sri Lanka, present in Sri Lanka, who are mainly responsible the waste collection and waste disposal in proper manner. We are working with nearly half of them, and we are directly purchasing PET material, and also our network. There are other recyclers as well. They are also purchasing PET materials from them. And also we are working with the central government for the alignment for the policy changes. As example, we do suggest some necessary activities in to the central government. If sometimes local government units are not working properly, we are working with the central government and suggesting that these areas waste collection is not going well. What can you do about it? And they are organizing some trainings and guiding the local authorities with the help of ourselves and other recyclers in the country as well. That way we are aligning with and contributing with coordinating with our government sector as well.
Okay, thank you very much for your clarification. And then for Simone-san, I'd like to ask the same question to your situation in Tonga. How does your association communicate with the government when compiling the national data on plastics recycling and collection?
We work closely with the Environment Department here in Tonga. There is also the Waste Authority Management, which is responsible for daily pickup of waste from households and businesses. Most of the data of plastic comes from them because they work at the wharf with the Customs Department. The only plastic we have the data with us is the PET plastic, which is now working to recover from the environment, from the public. But the other plastics like single-use plastic and those sorts, we don't have any data on it. But hopefully we'll extend our work from PET plastics to the other plastic, which is also a problem in the environment. Thank you.
でいいですか？じゃあ、はい、same question to 林さん。
Okay, thank you. So I didn't explain detail about the digital tool that we are going to install or apply in Padan City, but this tool is allow us to monitor the data. So this apps has two features. One for the West Central Bank, which can see the transaction of each West Bank units. So how much they collected the waste, what type of waste, and how much money they made out of this. And then at the central, at the West Bank unit level, they can also see the transaction between the bank unit and the users, the citizens, and how much each person brings and how much each person received the cash. So that kind of monitoring data is installed and stored, and then we can analyze which West Bank unit has more strong capacity and which bank is weak, so that the Central West Bank can also teach what is needed why this unit is weak in terms of operation. So this data actually allows us to understand the waste bank unit operation, and we can strengthen their operational business operation.
Thank you, Hai-san. It's very interesting to hear about the utilization of the new digital application. And then I'm just wondering, is it each customer at the community level, they also register their name and then their the collecting the PET amount and then receiving at the West Bank by customer's name?
Yes, yes. Because the individual person can receive money. So it's like the bank. So each person has banknote, right? So it becomes digitalized under our project.
I see. Very interesting. Do you have any incentive to the heavy user or heavy customer to?
The problem right now is because they don't have those digital application. They use everything in handwriting. So that's why people don't believe whether the waste bank put the number correctly, or they just lose the data. But if we tell them clearly, okay, this is how they can make money. They can bring the waste, but of course they have to segregate properly. If they don't segregate properly, the amount of the money that they can receive also reduce. So that's how we can also educate them. The clearly the more properly they segregate, the more money they can receive. So such incentive can be conveyed to the citizens.
Okay, a very, very good the system that everyone can share the same data, and then it's very clearly understandable for everyone. Yeah. Okay, thank you everyone. Let's move on to the question 2. How can private sector further encourage cooperation between stakeholders, government and local authorities, civil society? Due to the time constraint, can you please answer this question? Very short version. Can I ask Dinesh-san first?
Yes, sir. Okay. For that question, I'd like to categorize my answer into 3 sections. Number 1 is it is very important to building partnerships. Private sector recyclers and workers that can be act as a bridge to cooperate among corporate partners, government and societies as well. For example, we are working with the help of the private sector. A few years ago, we supported local authorities by providing baler machines to compact their waste and efficient transportation system, and providing drop-off bins, and also providing waste collection huts, infrastructure development to optimize their waste collection activities. And also we are working with Road Development Authority, which is responsible the road network in Sri Lanka. We established drop-off bins in every highway exit points, and also we with our regional network, we work closely with local livelihood by supporting the grassroots level waste collector by providing cards, electronic bikes, those things as well. And also the community awareness and community engagement in mainly cleanup activities and awareness activities is the must. The private sector businesses can through their CSR activities, they can incorporate with communities by organizing cleanups and making awareness sessions, especially for the schools and other private and government sectors as well. And also for the third one, the financial and policy incentives is felt required activities that private sector can provide insights for the policy changes, as I described earlier. Like we help with the government to pose bans on blue color PET bottle, which is have a low value in recycle market, and also imposing tax of virgin plastic imports as well, and also practicing of green procurement activities especially in public sector and private sector purchasing works. And also mandating of extended producer responsibility to minimize plastic pollution is a must, and that need to be coming from the government sector, and especially in Sri Lanka, it is still voluntary action. Only few corporate brands are participating. I think it is also a must activity that need to practice on every country, especially who are facing the plastic pollution. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ine-san. Next is Simone-san, please.
I would say that it's so vitally important, the cooperation, partnership, and working together of everyone in this industry, especially dealing with plastics. Here in Tonga, we work closely with the government, the Ministry of Education, and the Environment Department. We also work closely with the consistency, with the member of parliaments, the local schools, and also we're working closely with the donors like JICA, JPRISM, and also the business in shipping like Swire Shipping. They're coming in as partners. Without those partnerships, I don't think we will be successful in dealing with plastic pollution here.
Yeah, thank you very much, Simone-san. Due to time constraint, we would like to go to the last questions. Question 3, how do you think the world should manage plastic and reduce their use and production? Can I ask each panelist only 30 seconds to answer this question? First presenter is Hayashi-san. May I ask your answer?
That's quite a difficult question. But I think the important thing is the leadership. The leader has to mention the clear direction which way to go. And under this leadership, the community will work along with that. Of course, the thinking itself doesn't change anything. So the local action is very important. But with the strong leadership, I think that we can move towards the good direction.
Thank you. Next is Simone-san, please.
Thank you. I think with me, plastic is a big problem, especially in the Pacific. There is no other way for us to do it. There were efforts before to collect them, and they pile it up and then ended up in the landfill. So I think extended producer responsibility is a huge factor in plastic management and recycling. And so with the Coca-Cola model, I believe it's going to work here in the Pacific, and I would like to encourage other producers to come in and join Coca-Cola. That's the only way for us to reduce and solve this problem. Thank you.
Thank you. And lastly, not least, Nilesh-san, please, for your last comment.
Yes, to manage world waste, I believe everyone in the value chain need to be incorporated. First, the producer, the brands, they need to put up eco-friendly packagings and especially designs for the recycling for their consumer goods. And also, government need to support by implementing policies for that. And also, the brands, corporate brands, I think should be support recyclers by investing on capex investment, because most of the time in Sri Lankan case, most of the recyclers are entrepreneurs and have a small capex, and recyclers the brands can be supported on their capex investment and as well, and also should incorporate into awareness raising. And of course, for the local government, they can impose taxes who are not providing the segregated waste. Otherwise, it is very hard to segregate the waste at the mass accumulated level. And also, least the consumer who are consuming all the goods, they should be aware and they should be know to responsibly dispose their waste. And also there is extended media responsibility as well. Most of the time, from the media's airtime, slot should be allocated to develop environmental education, knowledge on recycling for the general public as well. I think those are the points that quite important to manage the world waste issue.
Yeah, thank you very much, Nilesh-san. Thank you, everyone. Due to the time constraint, I'm sorry to have enough time to answer each question for this session. But thanks to very three panelists who at the cutting edge of each organization and companies, I hope everyone can get very up-to-date information in the various fields in the various countries. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today. Let's give our panelists a loud applause. Thank you very much.
Onuma様、ご発表の皆様、ありがとうございました。
Ms. Onuma and the panelists, thank you very much to you all. To summarize the program, we would like to invite Kazunao Shibata, Deputy Director General of the Global Environment Department of JICA.
本セミナーにご参加いただいている皆様、そして
I would like to thank all the participants, and also I really appreciate very intense and also enriching the presentations by all the presenters so far. We have heard from many different countries, various perspectives. Plastic is a global issue, global crisis, and we have covered very important issues. And I would like to summarize the discussion for this part. When we think about something like this, I try to think about where I stayed for the Democratic Republic of Congo, one of the poorest nations on earth, and I wonder if they would be able to deal with plastic issue. Now, Mr. Tao, Mr. Felipe mentioned that plastic is a global issue. This goes without saying. And plastic is actually entering the natural realm as well, which is a serious issue, as was mentioned, but forming an agreement is not easy. Production, supply chain, health impact, financing, who bears the burden, these are the difficult things to agree upon when it comes to formulating a treaty. Because the situation in each country is different, including some of the poorest nations. Can all these countries face and address these challenges? Can they formulate a supply chain? Can they create a value chain to manage and recycle all the plastics? And who will bear the additional burden, additional cost of doing all this? We need to find answers to all these questions. And as Mr. Dahl mentioned, we need to think about the life cycle as a whole. And in the upstream, of course, we need to reduce the usage and also find alternatives. And over the long term, we need to manage the waste and minimize leakage into the natural world. Discussion that took place today, I believe, was very insightful and extremely useful. Importance of data for policymaking, related necessity for monitoring and research. Professor Isobe and also Tsukiji-san covered these aspects with useful examples. How much plastic exists, and where is it, and how much harm is it doing? This is important information for policymaking. Monitoring, modeling, and new studies and research will give us this information. Simone-san, Niresh-san, and Niho-san also talked about specific examples, how to collect and recycle plastic for the whole of the life cycle, and what are some of the useful approaches and solutions that we can employ. 3R plus return and the 3 path of collection, West Bank and digital tool from Tonga, Sri Lanka, and Indonesia. These are very useful examples. This is not just technological innovation, but also societal innovation that has to be shared and understood by different participants. Importance of finance and innovative finance being provided to both the public and private sectors was covered by the Asian Development Bank, Watanabe-san. And finally, we also talked about leadership, how to establish the framework for regulation. And as Tsukiji-san mentioned toward the end, it is important to put all the different pieces of puzzle together. And there are different actors involved. And sometimes we are doing implementing initiatives separately. But if we put our powers together, we can be more effective. For example, for the whole of nation of Thailand, maybe monitoring and all the other efforts can be put together and coordinated. And also, and in Samoa, for example, you can establish the value chain at the regional level for regional collaboration. And also, UNEP, ADP, JICA, various international organizations can exert their strength and bring their contribution to the table so that we can effectively reduce the use of plastic and find alternatives and manage the waste. We need to do all of that in order to be able to address this big issue of plastic. This is something that we have understood again today. And I hope that all of us will work together to solve this problem. And JICA is willing to contribute to that as well. I would like to thank all the presenters once again and also all the participants for listening. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Shibata. It's time to close the program.